Today marks the 55th anniversary of the beginning of the Second Vatican Council in Rome. Pope St. John XXIII convened the council, which reshaped the Catholic Church. It clarified the truths of the gospel, sought new ways to express the meaning of Christ's incarnation and the meaning of our own lives. J.D. Flynn, the new editor-in-chief of Catholic News Agency, joins us now with more on this from Rome. So J.D., recap for us what happened at Vatican II and how did it impact the Church?
Well, Wyatt, that's a great question. John the 23rd called Vatican II for a new reason in the Church. Usually a council is called because there's some doctrinal problem or dispute to be resolved. But the Pope called Vatican II because he said that the times were changing, the world was changing, and the Church needed to be able to articulate the message of the gospel, the message of Jesus Christ, the meaning of his incarnation, in a way that people in our world would be able to understand, in a way that would have meaning for them, in a way that would set them on fire for Christ. And so the Fathers of Vatican II got together here in Rome not to change anything, but to find new ways to proclaim the perennial teachings of the Church in ways that made sense to modern man and in ways that could encounter the modern world.
It's been 55 years since the Council. Why is this a significant anniversary?
This anniversary, the 55th anniversary, is the first significant anniversary in which the Pope was ordained after the Council, in which there are no active bishops who were ordained priests after the Council. And so, whereas up to this point we've been led by those who helped to form the Council, we're now being led by the priests and bishops and even a Holy Father who themselves were formed by the Council. So the Church is really beginning to see the fullness of the Second Vatican Council take effect and impact her life and ministry. Newman, Blessed John Henry Newman, said that water always runs clearer a little bit a little bit further away from its source, further from its spring. And so the further we get from the Second Vatican Council, the more clearly we can understand its meaning and its impact on the life of the Church and the ways in which the Church can encounter the modern world with the message of the gospel.
Sure. You mentioned Pope Francis. You know, he highlighted one of the main themes of Vatican II today, the call to holiness. Tell us more about what he said.
Sure. Today, Pope Francis, in his Wednesday audience, talked about the fact that Christians, believers, Catholics find the hidden grace in their everyday life. They find the presence of God in their everyday life, and they find the ways that God is calling them to pour themselves out in love in their everyday life. He said that those who are close to Christ in their families, in their workplaces, in the places where God has put them, are able to carry the message of the gospel and the message of Christ into the world and transmit the Lord's love. What Pope Francis was talking about was the universal call to holiness. The Second Vatican Council said that every single one of us is called to become a saint, that being holy isn't just for priests or bishops or nuns in cloistered convents, but every single person is called to be a saint, to be close to Jesus Christ, and then to spread the love of Christ into the world. And that's what Pope Francis emphasized today.
Sure, such an important message and a great challenge as well for all of us to become saints. J.D. Flynn, Editor-in-Chief of Catholic News Agency, thanks so much for talking with us.
Thanks so much, Wyatt.